Hi everybody, this is Josh from Visto.ai. I'm here with Andreas for episode 5 of the Visto vlog, where we are going through the journey of bringing Andreas to Canada. Andreas, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you, Josh. Thank you. Very happy. The date of my flight arrives. We are nervous for the new adventure, what it comes, but we are very happy, ready, ready to feel the Canadian maple and other Canadian stuff.
Absolutely. And so to give more context, first of all, if you haven't watched episodes 1 through 4, we obviously highly recommend checking out those because we go into much greater detail on who is Andres, who am I, who is Visto, why are we here right now, what is this work permit process we're going through. And now today is March 23rd, 2022. And Andreas, you have your flights booked for yourself and your family for tomorrow night. So tomorrow night you'll be traveling to Canada, and we're going to talk about in this episode the last steps in terms of finalizing documents, applying for the ETA, packing, booking flights, all that kind of stuff. And then maybe in a week or two, once you get here and get settled, we'll do another episode on actually settling in Canada, right?
Right. Tomorrow is the flight. The luggage is ready. I have a lot of tips to share today or another episode about how packing or preparing the final documentation, because yes, we have reviewed a lot of documentation here in the vlog, but there are a lot other documentation you need for flying. Yeah,
Right.
like you said.
Okay, so why don't we jump into it? Let's start with documentation. We've covered documentation in the past, in the last, I think episodes 3 and 4, we spent a lot of time on documentation. So maybe not as much on the documents themselves, but why don't we talk about, Andreas, firstly, finalizing the documents and any last tips around that. Now, in your case, as a quick reminder, we're applying through Kuzma, and Andreas is applying at the port of entry. So if you are not applying at the port of entry, some of this might not apply. If you're submitting a work permit application online, some of this might not apply. But Andreas, maybe talk about what the experience was like for you and tips on anybody who might be prepping their application in the future or right now.
Yes, the first tip is well, you will give your documentation to an immigration customs. Okay. So your documentation have to be perfect printed. That's the first tip, okay? I have an old printer, okay? When I print my documents, I start seeing a slip of blended lines in the print. When I see that, I say, oh my God, this is not good quality. So I have to search another printer. My father-in-law gave me her printer, and now I have a quality print in the documentation. I think it's the most important. Well, it's the most important things, no, behind the scenes. Yes. Well, when you have to pack in your luggage, well, in the flight, it's very important the height of your luggage. Okay, so the documentation on my case was 2 kilos of papers. So it's something to take care, because it's 2 kilos less in your luggage you have to carry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Other thing is, well, we have documentation about work permits. We have forms. We have board certificates. We have a lot of documentation. The best way to organize it is take folders. Folders is the thing you put for outside the papers. No, select one folder, and in one folder you put your name, okay, and add in that folder all the documentation what it contains. Forms 1957, work
1295.
certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is the documentation you will fill in the front in the folder. Write it because you know the documentation and you know what folder contains what documentation. In my case, I created a folder for me where like it said Andres form and documentation and the list of everything. Then I created another folder what is Andres' wife is Monica and Monica the documentation. These forms, these papers and these copies. And then another kids one and I have written everything inside the folder. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the part we are applying for the Kuzma, so in my folder, which is the most containing documentation, in every entry of the list, I put on the left the point Kuzma because that documentation identifies the requirement of Kuzma. So that gives you in a first shot of view and a good idea what documentation had and I will need it. And that's it.
Yeah, and to quickly highlight a few points. So number one, if you're applying in person, make sure you print in high quality, as Andreas said. If you're applying online, make sure you're scanning in very high quality, right? We want all the information, all the pictures, all the numbers, all the letters to easily be read. And the other point that makes a lot of sense, Andreas, that Andreas said was, if you are applying at the port of entry, don't stick your documents in the middle of a 50-kilogram piece of luggage, right? You want to have all your documents organized nicely with you in a backpack or some sort of carry-on so that you have it with you when you're actually going to clear customs. So that makes a lot of sense. Andreas, in terms of packing, what was that like? In your case, you have a wife and you have 2 kids, so there's a lot of you. How has packing been for you, and do you have any tips for those who might have to be moving, whether it be alone or with family as well, to make that easier?
Yes, the first thing is when we figure out which will be packed, we start thinking what will the activities or where we'll be when I arrive to Canada. So we will be in an hotel for one night. Then I will be an Airbnb, and then for the situation or the Airbnb in that location will be in another hotel, and then we'll back to an Airbnb. Yes, it's a lot of the movement. Okay, so thinking in that, we have created, for example, in the flight tickets, you can carry baggage for you and baggage for inside the airline. Documented, okay? So you can be 2 package of luggage. One carrying with you in the airline airplane cabin, and other inside, behind the airline.
Underneath, yeah.
Yeah, the airplane. Sorry. So thinking in that, well, I have carried, for example, the clothes related to stay and move with me, and the stuff what will need it when I'm moving. For example, your tennis sport, your tennis sneakers, you will not need it. You will not go to run if you will moving from day one day. Or for example, I don't know, the stuff for where your Canadian grandma, that it will be give her when you see it. It's not will carry with you every time. So we created 2 baggage, okay, for moving, and one other baggage for the stuff will be using very frequently. Yeah. So with that strategy, well, we both and a pack, we can remove the air inside with a air vacuum, okay? So it's sold in the Walmart. Mm-hmm. So that make the clothes very compact in the baggage. Okay. Well, it maintains the height, the weight, but the height. but it makes it compact. So you can, for example, when you arrive, move your stuff from one bag to another bag. Yes, it's still very heavy, but it's more compacted. You can move the things more easily. Yes.
Right.
So that is the strategy we followed with me, my family, to package the luggage. No.
Right. And what about
Luggage.
how do you know what to pack, what to bring and not bring? Because obviously you're living somewhere in Mexico right now. You have furniture there. You might have extra clothes. Did you leave a lot of, or are you leaving a lot of stuff in Mexico? And how are you going to handle that?
Definitely. First, we have to clean up everything. You have to review all your stuff. I'm a master of Marie Curie, this girl who organized houses.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's a TV show about it. Maria Kondo, yes, Marie Kondo. Marie Kondo technique. Well, I'm the master of it. So we have to get all that stuff. Well, and obviously define what you carry and what not will be carried. Well, the things will drop. Well, we have to join everything, and I will sell or will we give to another person to use. No, so. What select? Okay, select the clothes what I really use. Okay, for example, this shirt I like it. The black shirt I used in the last episode. I use the same t-shirt because I like it. So, well, that kind of stuff we put in the bag, and the others get out. No. About the clothes, well, I carry all my winter clothes because I will need it. No, I know it's very thin, but in a time of in between winter and se me fue primavera,
spring,
between spring, yes, will be using. Okay, so that is another thing. Well, you arrive and how will be the weather. So in some kind of that time, I will use that. So I carry my winter stuff for use in spring.
It makes sense. You got to make do, right? And also, I think it's smart to think about what time of the year you're coming, right? So in your case, it's we're pushing end of March now, so we're getting into springtime. So you might pack a little bit differently, or you might have certain things in different bags if you're coming in the middle of winter, in the middle of summer, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. One thing to notice, Josh, is obviously depending of you where you live. I live in a very hot place. The winter clothes for me will be useful in the winter of Canada. So definitely your stuff you using in your country, this will be useful in Canada. So it's not a big note, okay? Because yes, when winter arrives, I need to buy new gloves, okay? New scarf, because the scarf I had is for the weather of my country, not for weather in Canada. So that's a good point. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Research the winter temperatures of the city that you'll be moving to in Canada, because it might not match up the winter in your hometown. So that's a great point. Andreas, let's talk about flights. When did you start researching flights? When did you book them? Why did you book the ones that you booked? Tell us a little bit about how that went.
Yes, one Visto certificate tips is not book your trip if you didn't have approved your work permit. Yes, it's right.
Yeah, I mean it's a caveat in this case, right? Because you're applying at the port of entry, so technically it won't be approved until you get there. But if you're applying online, absolutely, we always recommend, unless you can get changeable flights, to wait until you have the work permit approved before booking them.
Yeah. Well, with the clarification of it, for select my tickets, I have two First, know which are the airlines who fly to Canada from your country, or which are the airlines connecting with from your country to Canada. In my case, I have the luck of have Aeromexico. Aeromexico is an airline, Mexican airline who flies to internationally. So I have a bucket and a flight from my place or my city to Canada, only doing one step for one step. Yeah. And for booking, well, for example, I have searching. Obviously, you have to search the obviously the price, no? For example, a good tip is, for example, when you book on a flight, okay, the airplane have, I don't know, let's set 40 chairs, okay? 20 chairs of the flights have a price fixed, but there are another quantity of the flights can the airline can play with the price, can be high or can be low, okay, depending the time left from the flight, the price will be up or will be down. So knowing that, you have to buy your tickets with a lot of anticipation. I mean, when I try, what I said is book your flight with a lot of time offset, okay? Or you are lucky, if you are lucky, you can buy your flight very near, but you can get the higher price of the ticket sale.
Right.
Right. So you have to play with that. That situation changed from airlines to airlines. Okay.
Right.
I said that because I work for an airline and I know how more like that situation works. No, that is the way for the plane ticket sales works more or less. Okay.
Right.
So I have to check it up 3 different airlines, for example, Air Canada, Aeromexico, what other one? I don't remember. But, well, and see the prices. And I search in other places. There are a lot of places on the internet what describe the prices of their ticket airlines. So you can see a price for a ticket, no? For example, Sky Scanner, Kavak. This is the website. You can see the prices and can book from there to get more cheaper price, cheaper ticket price.
Right. And how did you think about, or how did you pick the day and the time that you wanted to travel?
How big? Well, first we have some kind of insurance. Well, not insurance. Your security of being ready. Okay. So when I get a level of security of my documentation, all documentation needed are more or less ready, and you know how will be the little details left. You can, well, in my case, because we don't have an online application, I select more or less the date for my documentation is joined and ready, no? And I book a date for flight.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
And more or less calculate when the winter finish, more or less. No? So that situation affect a lot. Yes.
That's a big tip, especially if you're coming from a warm country, right? If you can, landing in a new country is obviously a big endeavor to begin with. So if you can also avoid extra extenuating circumstances like 15 below degree weather, if you're not used to it, then it's good to avoid it. So I think that's a good idea. I think it's supposed to be warmer tomorrow too. Tomorrow and Friday I think are supposed to be above zero, so that's good news for us in Toronto. And so anyways, awesome. that was everything that I wanted to touch on, Andres. Any last tips or thoughts? And then what we'll do is next episode we'll do when you're in Canada, and we'll talk about how the trip went and how the processing went and how settling in Canada has been. But for the topics that we're on right now, any last thoughts or tips?
Yes, for flight, remember, depending your country, it's required stamp your visa or in ATA. No, the ATA is an electronic transport
Authorization. I don't know.
Authorization.
ETA,
yes. ATA, yes. And for that, you have to fill out a form, pay Canadian dollars, and you will receive an authorization by email. But when you have booked your and without it, you cannot join to the country. So that is a super required. Okay, in my case, I need an ATA, but I don't have authorized it. When I do it, for example, one day ago, the authorization arrived by email and arrives in a random name on random time of the day. So it was very stressful waiting for that authorization. And your mind start flying, said, okay, if not arrive, what was that I could do? My family started getting nervous because without it, we can fly. Well, to avoid this, is if you have to plan to Canada in the next 2 years, book your ATA and save the email for the authorization approval. So when you have the flights, it will be less stressful. The authorization is linked to your passport. So when the airline scan your passport, will be see the authorization to join the country. So yes, you can both each 2 years. It's very accessible, $7 Canadian dollars. So it will be less stressful.
Yeah, and the quick caveat there is only certain people can apply for ETAs. So if you're going to travel to Canada, or if you want to travel to Canada and you're not a permanent resident or a citizen, you will need either an ETA or a visitor visa, or sometimes called a travel visa. Based on your country of citizenship determines whether you can apply for an ETA or you have to apply for a visitor visa. In Andres' case, as a Mexican citizen, he can apply for an ETA. As he said, it's cheap, it's all done online, it's usually very quick, right, within a day or two. But I would recommend applying definitely in advance, because you never know, right, just to play it safe. So in an ideal world, Andres, you probably would have applied it, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. But anyways, we got everything settled. And then the visitor visa application is a bit of a different story. If you're applying for a work permit, they actually will give you the visitor visa alongside the work permit so that you're allowed to travel. But depending on the type of permit you're applying for, may affect the visitor visa status. But definitely an important point and an important factor to consider. So awesome, Andreas, this is very helpful as per usual. And so what we'll do is we'll wrap up episode 5 here, and tomorrow Andreas will be flying to Canada. We're excited to see him. I'll be waiting at the airport. We'll take a few pictures for the next episode as well, and maybe we can have them on screen, or include them in the video. And then once you get settled, we'll record episode 6 talking about the flight itself, talking about settling, landing, moving, all that fun stuff. So Andreas,
yes,
thank you again for the help, and a safe flight tomorrow as well.
Okay, yes. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.